This video is a solemn tribute to a secret keeper whose story has come full circle for me within the last few days. A story that merits a mention in not one, not two, but three of my books in my 6-book series. This secret keeper, KM, I already have a secret keeper K, and as the numbers of people who have impacted my life increase, I find I have to get creative. KM, this necklace that you see me wear holds meaning. Fresh off the gift of presenting my secret keeper Nora a gift in turn for her birthday, which is tomorrow, this gift I will present to you. I will wear it tomorrow at work to honor you, and at some point in the near future I will give it to you. The story for me occurred when a woman took me in when I had nowhere else to go in my life. Doors were turned away. I was not immediately welcome within my family at that point in time in my life, and my parents could not. All they had wanted to do for their child was to whisk me away and take me home. But my life was tied here to my family and my obligations. KM, you took me under your wing. And if you look closely at this pendant, you will see that it is a shield indicative of protection. And I thank you. And most of my secret keepers do not have a sense of awareness of the profound impact they have had on my life. The 5th book in my series was previously entitled This Is Us. I have come up with a better fitting name. The new title for the 5th installment in my series will be called My First Secret Keeper, of which will be revealed in that narrative. And the many more secret keepers who have touched me and my journey along the way will be revealed and praised and triumphed at that point in time. The full meaning and the full grasp of this token that you will wear after me is yet to be revealed in its entirety. Just as life is full of surprises, unexpected twists and turns, doors open and shut, ones that we don't foresee, so too will be the continuation of my story and the power of my narrative. A story of addiction and trauma and struggle that is not a reference of my past. It is not something that I have survived in my entirety and view myself as fit in the eyes of the world to tell it. And anyone who suffers from the devastating disease and the illness in turn that is addiction will understand what I mean when I say that it is ongoing, that we are always in a state of recovery, and most importantly, it is that our narrative never ends. I reached out, or rather I should say more fittingly, a new friend had reached out to me, inquiring about some knowledge that I had gained. His brother had been struggling with addiction for some time, and I have yet to speak to him about the nature of his illness and disease in turn, the nature of his addiction, which is irrelevant to find commonality. He had been suffering for 15 years, which is more or less the duration of my ongoing struggle. And I said to him directly, I don't think he's heard the words yet, but I told him that if you have struggled with this illness for 15 years, And if you are still here, that is indicative of your strength, not your weakness. It is indicative of your ability to endure. It is not easy to deal with the torment that is our internal narrative. It is not necessarily the vice that we do or do not succumb to that tortures us in turn, not in its entirety. What is torturous is the shameful knowledge that we do know better. So many of the fallacies presented in the world today highlight and emphasize the genuine opinion that we do not know better, that we are ignorant. That could be further from the truth, and that is the sound knowledge that most of us have that causes our torment and causes our inner narrative and our inner confliction and our inner dialogue. It is because we do know better. We have a profound sense of awareness when we do wrong, when we succumb, and when we make mistakes. That is the confliction. That is the narrative. And it is that shame that we carry that cripples us. It is the shame that continues to cripple us, even when we are sober, because the thoughts are pervasive. And it is still our reality. And I want to say to this person that you are to be celebrated. You are to triumph in the knowledge that you are still here. So don't give up. Another sad reality that we have in our world today is that people who love us the most inadvertently cause the most damage. And they do it out of ignorance. The trauma that I inflicted throughout the duration of the last 3 or 4 years in turn, the trauma that motivated me to write my story, there was only 1 or maybe 2 people who I deeply felt partook in their actions out of willful intent. And there is a profound difference, and I know it hurts. And I want to take a moment to talk about the profoundness of the theme of accountability. Accountability is everything for an addict. And if you are in the early stages of recovery, if you are a family member who has someone in the earliest stages of recovery, forgive me, but I lovingly call it the fuck you phase. And it is true. And it is a normal part of the first steps of recovery. Indeed, it is indicative of the first steps of the grieving process, to be in denial and to be angry and to bargain and to question. In my own personal recovery, it took me about 3 months to embrace accountability, I feel, in its entirety. The tragedy is that despite the fact that I have been sober from polypharmacy for 1,346 days, the context and the insinuation and the messages that continually are sent to me by family to this day insinuate that I am still hurting the people that I love, that I still need to hold myself accountable, that I still need to heal myself. I had received a text from a family member admonishing me to stop hurting my former spouse, to stop hurting my children, the children of which I fought valiantly for, the children of which will be described in my debut memoir. The insinuation was, and she was so bold enough to claim, that I could stop hurting my community as a whole. And I found that statement to be gravely erroneous for several reasons, and I called her on her error. Because this family member doesn't even live where I live. On a personal level, I have not interacted enough with this family member to genuinely gain insight into her character. And she neither has of me. But she was so quick to condemn and to scrutinize when I made a mistake. I posted a video impulsively on Facebook, on the family page. I did it impulsively because I sought closure. I had made a 2-hour video in the depth of my vulnerability, and I said things that hurt people in that narrative. I did not want to taint my sentiment after I immediately apologized with a follow-up video after the harsh words. I had been called a selfish mother by someone, and I had been called a narcissist by another. I had been told that I could stop hurting the people that I love the most, despite the fact that I had provided them shelter. I did that when I was sick. I did that when I was ill. I did that when I was diseased. But I was sober. I was wounded. And that is what the world needs to know. I was wounded by their hurtful comments. I am 38 years old. I will be 38 years old next month, and I was wounded. And when you reinforce shame, it is so incredibly difficult to pick yourself back up. I was tempted to give in to my shame. I was so tempted as I curled up in a ball on my bed to let it seep into me. As bitter tears were shed, as I thought to myself, in the internal narrative that I have within my soul, how could I be so stupid? How could I be so blind? But I did something very special on that day. And that will be the continuation of my story in book 6, My Future. You, dear future you. I find that I'm rambling in my passion. There is no script yet again, and I need no script to evoke the sincerity of my meaning and my intent. KM, you provided me shelter when I grew life, when everyone else turned me away. And in turn, when you came to me in the acute care unit, I saw you. I saw you in your vulnerability. I took care of you in that moment as you had taken care of me. And just last week, I received a special correspondence from a man who said that his stepmother had lived in my area. He gave me your name, and I sought clarification because I said within myself, this can't be. What are the chances of this author, this inspiring author that I've had the opportunity to correspond with as I am seeking growth in the continuation of my story, to produce my narrative and to produce my advocacy and to strengthen the voice that I have? What were the chances, I thought to myself, that these two could be related? That the woman who sheltered me, who shielded me while I grew life, the woman who I cared for in her vulnerability in turn. I fascinated at the thought, being the lover of symbolism that I am. And when I found out that it was indicative of the truth, I knew that this story would be in book 2. Amidst love's deepest shadows, the hands we hold, the hands that reach out in our darkest moments, whether it is from deity, spirituality in another form, or a friend. The story came full circle because she was your stepmother. And I do not find it inconsequential or without significance. I contribute it to my personal deity. Amidst love's deepest shadows will highlight the blessings in our life, the ones we fail to see in our deepest, darkest corners of our life. Only in hindsight, when the sun rises, do we see the power of those moments, the impact and the profoundness that they hold in turn. KM, you are my secret keeper, and my book and my narrative is dedicated to you. I will wear this tomorrow to honor your name. And soon, you will wear it as a token, and when you wear it, you will remember that you are an integrated and profound part of my story in turn. And I thank you, and I thank your son-in-law, your stepson. I honor him, I honor you. You will know the significance of this token in time. That time is not today, but I promise it will reveal itself in the near future. Secret Keeper KM, I honor you, and thank you.